What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. It's time for us to do what we do. Take a look at the charts together. Grab some matcha, grab some coffee, settle in, and let's take a look together, see what's going on out there. A couple of comments up there worth talking about from the beginning. First of all, happy Taco Tuesday. Beautiful to be here with you all. I am so grateful for all the time that we spend together. Another one over here is like, look, there's no sell-off incoming. That's completely clickbait. Justin, welcome. I am glad that you are here. It is good that you are here. Everybody knows that while riding Bitcoin, the bull of all bulls, I have remained as consistent as they come. There's no question. Now I see people shifting like the wind. Shifting like the wind from bull to bear to bull to... Not me at all. I have kept that calmness, that clarity since before, leading up into the halving, since before the technical breakout, and then from every move since. But nevertheless, there's some things to talk about over here. But before we even do over here this morning, look at this beautiful, beautiful tweet over here. This beautiful message on Discord, right? Cherub saying, good morning, everyone. I'm trying not to take any new trades until after the FOMC. But of course, I'm seeing setups all over the place. And you know what? Listen, first of all, I love the attitude. I love the mindset. Because showing this type of discipline, preventing yourself from just over trading and working on yourself is going to bear more fruits than if he was just out there apt to take risk. I really like it. And at the same time, that doesn't mean on the Tuesday morning before the next day FOMC in the afternoon that if you don't see a setup, you can't take it, right? You got 3 trades a week on FX. If you feel that you see a clear setup, or even more appropriately, a wave of setups, and you see that one in particular, it looks like the one you want to get on top of, You know your risk ahead of time. There's nothing wrong with that. It could actually wind up being a very good trade. It could fall slightly into profit, maybe even get your stop loss to break even ahead of FOMC. And then if FOMC happens to work your way, it could wind up being a really nice trade. So I love and I applaud the attitude, that it's more important to be working on yourself as a trader, to be working on that discipline than just taking the entries themselves. Good that you see them. Really good that you're seeing the setups. Even better that you're learning when you want to get up on that board and ride the wave and when you don't. Really, really applaudable stuff over there. Yeah, I do want to talk about what we're looking at or what the market's looking at over here. These shorts that are piling up on Bitcoin. Let's take a look together. And we got a good thread over there. And it was mentioned that, look, this is, I don't think this is something Jordan's interested in, right? Jordan's watching price. Yeah, that's completely true. You're all over it. Nevertheless, let's take a look at here. We see this is what's the name of the exchange? You all know my pronunciation skills over here. It's Bittrex, right? Bitfinex. Sorry. Look, it's one exchange. And you can see over here that the shorts are piling up. The last time that they was this high was during March 2020, during that anomaly in Bitcoin. And this is the first time since shorts have gotten that high. It's not just the shorts, though. It's also the longs. Longs are at a record high over here. Let's take a look at that as well. You got to consult both over there. And you can see they just took out over here the November and December. By the way, the longs were this high as Bitcoin made that massive move late December into February, right? So that's interesting as well. I really don't know how to read it except for this. I added a comment over here. It was Frito over here. Let me go give him a follow. Who was saying over here, look, it's also the longs. And you guys had a great conversation. Alan Al getting involved over there. I said, listen, the last time the shorts were this levered up was during the March 220 crash. Looks like people adding to positions. You see how that, like, if I go back to the shorts over there, people are like, as the trade is going against them, they continue to position and pyramid into their trade. That's probably not a good idea as the trade goes against you. But here's the only thing, right? Either they're right or we're going to see a huge short squeeze. Those people are going to have to cover their positions. Either way, it seems really risky ahead of the FOMC on Wednesday. And that's what we're setting up together is the FOMC on Wednesday. I want to bring your attention to the legend himself, Paul Tudor Jones. This is one of my, I don't want to say heroes, right? Bitcoin teaches you to have no heroes. You ever notice a Bitcoin in a second will slay their hero if need be? But Paul Tudor Jones has definitely shaped and formed my own trading career. I've read everything that he's put out there. If you ever seen the documentary called Trader, if you get a hold of it, it's fun. But either which way, I remember back in December of 2018, the Federal Reserve was about to hike interest rates, right? Before that meeting, Paul Tudor Jones said, listen, if they do hike, it will be a policy era mistake. It'll be the last time they hike, and then they'll have to be forced to going into a series of cuts. He was completely correct. Do follow those that have a history of being correct. Now, we all know that currently Paul has taken, before Stanley, look at this, Trader J, doxing myself over here for Zero Hedge, making sure that I get no ads on this. If anyone wants to go ahead and try to, use that username as a hack in order that they too could get the premium service and not have any ads on Twitter, well, that's an open table for you right there. I gave you a head start. I'm not going to change the username or password. It's just used for this account. It's really not that important. And if anyone else could get on board and not be getting ads here as well, get on you. Funny stuff, though. So Paul has taken a position in Bitcoin ahead of Stanley Druckenmiller, right? His says the idea that inflation is transitory to him just doesn't work the way that he sees the world. Interesting to note, because right now we're in a couple of different camps, right? We're in a camp of people who saw the expansion of the Fed's balance sheet and the coming stimulus as signal, right? And they said, listen, this is going to be inflationary. And the people from the beginning who were like, no, this QE is deflationary, right? Then almost a year and a half later, those people who are like, that was inflationary, or the people that were like said it was deflationary and like, I think the market's wrong and it's going to go back deflationary, continuing to stand on the hill that they had, right? I don't know what's happening here. I have the FOMC tomorrow. I think the way that the FOMC frames this is going to be a big deal for what happens next. You know, is there a chance that after tomorrow, if we hear any talk of the Fed saying, listen, we're seeing an increase of people returning back to work, we feel like we have the job rate under control, we're going to start tapering and setting up a tapering. Do I think that we're headed back towards that deflationary camp? I do, and it will be time to pivot. I'm not going to be wrong for a year and a half and then be like, oh, look, now it's back in my favor. But or is it possible that the Fed says nothing tomorrow? That the Fed is just quiet? They don't even say anything. In that case, that's going to be like the signal, oh my gosh, risk on, watch equity markets fly. Let's see what the Nasdaq does. And we're going to look at the charts in a second to get, as price is ultimately king, to get our edge, right? And it's possible that this could provide a lot of current for people to go ahead and continue pushing these trades. It really does affect what happens with Bitcoin in the second half of its bull market. If we see some type of taper talk, that could be a big headwind for Bitcoin. And it's possible, instead of looking at perhaps the high end of our estimates, we'll be looking at the lower end of our estimates. And at the same time, if all of a sudden the Fed basically gives, oh, okay, we're not doing anything sign or signal, then we could be looking at the upper end of our estimates. It's a big deal. I've been consistent saying from the very beginning that the only thing that I see as the risk to Bitcoin during this bull market is the Federal Reserve, right? Tomorrow is probably Jay Powell's biggest meeting ever since he's been Fed chair. We'll be watching it. We'll be watching the market's reaction, and we'll be talking about it. Because why people are focused in on, and rightfully so, right? The shorts piling up over here. There's other things that are actually more important. And yes, it's true. Maybe those shorts are positioned correctly. Maybe what we're going to see over here is this the rollover. And if we lose this trend line over here, this yellow broken resistance that should now hold as support, and we get back below here, well, we have to take a very defensive posture. And if anyone went long on the break of this clone trend line over here, if we break back below it, you already know how to manage your own risk, right? Obviously, if you took the trade, you know how to take responsibility for your trade. And before you got in it, you already know where you're wrong and where your stop loss is, right? Just checking out there. So listen, but if we do break down below that trend line, yeah, it's possible that we're looking at taking out 31,000, even the low over here, the low print right around 28,000 and change. So we'll watch and we'll see what happens together, right? I was looking at this. This is pretty cool. This is the mempool, right? And you could see the last time, let me pull up this chart over here, right? Going back over here right before the mid-cycle shakeout in the 2017 bull market run, the mempool was full and then cleaned out, right? Look at this happening again. Pretty interesting. Right before the mid-cycle shakeout, mempool full and then cleans out. Are we going to see this massive wave over here again? Interesting to see in so many different areas, just things continuing to line up, and we see these patterns repeating themselves over and over again. Now, there are two camps out there, those that believe that you should follow past patterns and those that believe that you shouldn't. Obviously, I am in the former. Following past patterns has served me extremely well, right? We have a beautiful video to share later this afternoon. It was done with the Year of the Bull with misconfig. MS config, whoa. And beautiful, beautiful stuff talking about fib levels in the bull market, talking about monetary policy. We'll be uploading that later after I get it finished, polished, and published over here. And then Giles, our Giles over here. Look, this is gold. I want to get into the charts, but before I do, I want to finish going over this stuff over here, right? That's the transactions waiting. The transactions waiting to be verified on the Bitcoin network. But definitely go ahead and just put that into a search engine, get the definition and explanation that you need. Okay. So anyway, here we go. So what he's looking at is gold over here, and he's talking about how he added this, I believe it's clone trend line. We haven't spoken about it yet. We're going to speak about it later. Guys believe he has a help for the whole community in being able to add trend lines with a rule-based way for a lot of clarity for a lot of people. We're going to take a look at it together and then see about if it's something that should be shared with all of you, introducing it to the community. What I'm seeing here is that on that one touch, he had this clone trend line from over here, put it up there. You could see how it came into play, right? He also had this trend line over here after the second touch over here. And you could see that it was the breakdown, the retest, and now we'll see what happened on gold. And that's going to segue in. We're going to start with the 10-year over here, right? And notice that we are holding the bottom end of this bull flag support. We are in the dead center, almost dead center, right, of the bull flag as we go into the FOMC. Good chance that this breaks either out to the upside or breaks down to the downside coming out of the FOMC meeting tomorrow. It's a big deal to see what happens next, right? We got a lot of things happening. We have the smart traders saying right now, I don't know what happens next. I want to wait to see what the FOMC does. We have those who, they initiated their bond trade back over here after the Fed expanded their balance sheet and the government stimulus was coming. We're on the wrong side of this trade for a long time and we're quiet about it. And then over here started being like, oh, I think the market's positioned wrong and this is going to revert back down, right? Look, who's right? I don't know. I do know that after the FOMC and following price that I'll be able to get on the right side. But right now, you should be completely neutral with a bullish twist, with a bullish hint. Why bullish hint? Well, we're above the important support over there, and this is a bullish formation, a bull flag in an uptrend, right? If it breaks down below here, obviously flip positions, flip mindset and be like, all right, now we should see yields coming off. And if that happens, we should see the Nasdaq explode to the upside. Nasdaq over here already printing new all-time highs. It was only a matter of time, right? And then boom, boom, boom. So Andy, all right, brother, people wonder, oh, listen, anyway, I'm just going to take a moment here and decide how I want to act. All right, Andy. So it's going to go up or down. What a revelation. All right. It's a good thing that I've learned to control myself, It's a good thing. So some people aren't going to make it. A lot of people aren't going to make it. The markets are extraordinarily tough. The reason I was attracted to them in the first place was for two things. First of all, for the freedom they could afford me. Not only for the freedom financially, but the freedom in my time. I get to do what I want when I want. It's a beautiful thing. This other thing was the challenge. You're competing as gladiators in the biggest arena for one of the most precious resources in this world, which happens to be capital. So capital and time, this is what you're fighting for here in the markets. Unless you really are going to work at it, there's no way that you're going to make it, right? So if you can at this and just let's call it as it is, right? Let's call it as it is. Oh, it's going to go up or down. No, I knew it was. I'm the one who called it coming up when the Fed acted over here, right? It was mid-April. It's all on video, right? At this particular time, though, ahead of the FOMC, in the middle of the bull flag, unless you're just gambling or there's no way you know what's going to happen. I don't know what the Fed is going to decide to do, and it happens to be the biggest meeting to date for Powell. Right? It's a big deal whether or not they decide to let things go with their head down like an ostrich, right? And then we find out that this is all not transitory. Or if they decide to, that they're getting worried. You saw Kyle Bass this morning saying that the real rate of inflation is 12%, right? And if all of a sudden you see the Fed starting to freak out and get worried and they start slamming on the brakes, when they slam on the brakes, what happens? Your head could go through the window if you're not wearing your seatbelt. You got to be really careful over there. Anyone who thinks they knows what is going to happen ahead of time, you're doing it wrong. You have no idea. You have no idea. So I don't have any idea, but I know how to manage my risk. I'm not in a position here. I know if we either break out to the upside or downside, the significance and the importance and how the 10-year is really going to affect, not just the Nasdaq, but also gold and silver. And there was Giles' chart over here. Let me bring it back. I think it's this one. Talking about the breakdown at that level, that's what brought me back into the yields so far. And then you could see over here, look, I don't have the precision he has on that chart. I want to work with him later, make sure we get it. I like his chart better, the way it looks. Mine was just as effective for our purposes, right? But anyway, I digress. And what's silver doing today ahead of the meeting? Silver's holding that last line of support, that last line of hope ahead of the meeting, right? Anyone who thinks they know what's going to happen ahead of the meeting tomorrow, they're playing from a handicap. That handicap is going to cause them to continue to lose money to either one of the two things happen. They either decide to give up on the markets, it's not for them, they don't have what it takes, right? Or they decide to get serious because it's serious. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of dedication. One of the best things you can do is subscribe to this channel, right? And start investing your time, giving yourself an education, because what is shared here is shared for free and it's absolutely invaluable. All right. I don't use the RSI. It's testing a big downtrend on day one. Ready, steady. I'm not sure what you're using. And you know what? I wish I had paid more attention to the RSI on Bitcoin, as we were hitting the highs over there, for the last few months. Because for sure the RSI was way overbought. So, but I don't. And the reason for that, ready, steady, is you know what? One of the things about the markets is that you have almost limitless choices. You could use like almost countless different indicators, right? You have how many different oscillators to choose from. You could use moving averages. You could use fib levels. You could use so many different variables, right? And it could get really confusing. For me, the greatest edge I've had or have is following price. And I follow price, along the market structure of support and resistance with the help of trend lines and chart patterns. Now, that's not to say that the RSI is not effective, right? Or that the CCI is not effective. You can make a profitable trading system out of these things, but I have decided to take something so complex and simplify it down as much as possible to give myself an edge. So if I'm not consulting like the amount of shorts out there, if I'm not consulting the RSI, that's a reason for it. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, right? Or it doesn't mean that it's not valuable, right? Someone is even saying, look, I see a head and shoulders forming, right? And look, could you see the head and shoulders? Is that possible that you're looking at a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder? Yeah, it's entirely possible. But more important than focusing on the head and shoulders, in my opinion, is to really focus on what that trend line would be regardless. It was pointed out. Oh, I saw it yesterday, I believe, on Twitter, right? Anyone, big shout out if you've been here for a while, several months to a year. You remember before we broke out to the new all-time high, the trend lines that I had over here. The prime trend line was coming off the low, right? And then we cloned them all the way up. This touch over, by the way, is coming into one of those trend lines, the prime trend line from the bottom, right? It was pointed out beautifully how this is a retest of that trend line, right? Breaking below it, yeah, that's scary. Now, if this was a head and shoulders, by the way, does Bitcoin go to zero? I don't say that in jest. I'm just wondering, Yeah, I mean, the target for that would be like Bitcoin going to zero. It could happen. It really could happen. My stop loss is 0 on spot, and I'm not going to lie, that would be devastating. It would be just really devastating. So, but it could happen. For sure it could happen. All right, what else are we looking at here today? Let me see what else we're looking. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern, right? We're waiting to see what happens tomorrow. Now, there still will be some nice price movement between now and tomorrow morning. Generally speaking, by tomorrow, by like 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, 11 o'clock the latest, usually, not always, sometimes FOMC day, there is a trend going into it and it continues throughout. Sometimes people have inside information. Sometimes this information is leaked and these people on Wall Street, they know what's happening ahead of time. It's just the markets are manipulated. You know, you have to be able to trade and profit from within that manipulation. All right. What else are we looking at? Let me see. Yep, this is worth talking about over here. John K. Remember, John continually putting out some really important work over here. He was pointing out the Wyckoff accumulation phase, and I was like, I don't see it. But here's what I did afterwards. I went over here. I noticed that John wasn't using candles, and he was using a line chart, right? And when I put it on the line chart, I could actually see, you know what? The lower low was actually put in over here. It's fair to say that we are seeing an accumulation pattern. I think he's doing it on the 1 hour or using a 1 hour chart, and it gives a lot further clarity. John actually also brings it up a notch, and he's like, look, you know, don't take my word for it. I'm going to ask the expert. He asked Todd, the same guy I asked, and he's like, yes, you know, John, that's the way I've been labeling it. And for sure, I think it's worth pointing. I can't click on this right here. I guess this is a screenshot. I'm trying to click on it. I don't know why I won't. Here we go. I click on this. There. So this is John laying out exactly the schematic over here. Beautiful, right? And then if you go over here and it's the same thing. There's no question about it. I see it, you know, and why I was under the impression that if you have a long distribution phase, that the accumulation was also supposed to be long. Well, it just doesn't seem to be playing out like that, you know? And you have to say, if you can't see it, you know, now you should be able to see it. I do. Good work, John. Really good stuff over there. Thank you for presenting that to over us. This is worth talking about over here. Yeah, that's Dean. That's true. Yep. Even when it's reflected in the price action, 100%. Now, you don't know what's going to happen ahead of time, or at least I don't. Oh, we're slightly off over there. Let me zoom out a little bit, right? If you're watching this on the replay, lots of love to you. Thank you for being here. Really grateful for it and all your support. You know, risk management. We got to huddle up over here, talk about what's been going on, right? My brother-in-law is a skilled carpenter. Last week, while using tools he's very familiar with, he made some missteps and cut his finger so badly, he nearly lost a knuckle. Maybe he was in a rush. Maybe he was distracted or tired. He's healing now, and it seems he will have full use of his finger, but may have some prolonged or permanent loss of feeling. Your knowledge, guidance, and experience provide people with tools to change their life. Even in trained hands, tools can be dangerous. I think it's important to talk about a lot of you, most of you. You know, I'm not even talking about the silent majority here who are strong. I'm talking about everyone understood risk. Everyone understood responsibility. It doesn't mean when it came down to it and money and emotions were involved that everyone was able to manage their risk accordingly, right? So it talks about guidance for self-knowledge. You know, the question should be asked, who is an expert trader? We talk about lightly leveraged experts only, right? And who is not an expert? Who is not ready? Ultimately, this is a question you need to ask for yourself and answer for yourself. I can't give you the answer to that because I don't know how you're going to act under pressure. I don't know if you're going to freeze up like a deer in headlights. I don't know that you respect your stops or that you're going to go ahead and adjust them. I don't know if you're afraid to take small losses and therefore let them grow into big ones. You only know those things, but I do have to say that the best mindset that I've seen and know of are people who are investing their time each and every day with this community. So that means, in my view, that they have a strong understanding of the markets and what's going on. And yet most of those people, or a good number of those people, have taken the posture, taken the position that they're simply using this bull market and this 4-year cycle as a way to grow their experience, preparing themselves for the following halving in 2024. That's really strong over there. Those people, in my opinion, are going to be successful. Worst case scenario, they spend all this time simply accumulating Bitcoin, right? Simply accumulating Bitcoin And then all of a sudden, they're positioned amazingly for the next coming bull market, 2025. It's going to be here before we know it, right? What else do we have over here? There was something else shared I wanted to share with you. We'll get back to it as we get back to it. This is worth talking about over here. Michael Saylor, this guy is an animal, right? The company is taking financial engineering to a new level. Watch, they just raised the $500 million going to be on the bid, buying Bitcoin if they haven't already. If anyone has an update, please let me know, right? Please let me know. Your choice of chart this morning, superb. This is very helpful. I thought you were saying your choice of chart. Yesterday for lunch, I had to make sure I'm healthy. I got to make sure I'm healthy for all of you, right? Mostly, firstly, obviously for my wife and kids, right? So I started eating for chard, just some green dark leaf chard for lunch. That's it. No, not even any dressing, nothing on it. Just savage style. And I have to be honest, I feel better today, and I felt better throughout the evening last night. So I'm gonna keep doing it. So what else? No, don't be in a rush. Don't be in a rush. So Max just talking about what Michael's doing over here. And Michael is then talking about he's going to do a securities offering, at the market securities offering for flexibility to sell up to $1 billion of their Class A common stock of MicroStrategy, raising another $1 billion or up to $1 billion, which they said one of the things they will do with it is buy more Bitcoin. This is absolutely amazing. Could look over here. Alan Au is talking about what it's doing is that they're basically converting. They're convertible, but excuse me. Let me try to bring this back into pace. Right now, they can't raise any more money in the fashion they've been doing it because their debt to equity ratio has increased from 1.65 in 2020 now up to 6.79. The sale of $1 billion in stock will bring it back down to 1.8. They'll then be able to do other convertible debt. Michael is absolutely crushing the system. I saw someone, if you haven't seen, from the Bitcoin 2021 Miami conference, the macro panel. That's the one video that you should watch this week. Absolutely amazing, profound stuff being shared over there. And one of the people on the panel, I don't know if it was Greg Foss, I don't think it was, talk about Michael being a walking, talking mainframe computer. Absolutely genius stuff that's taking place before our eyes. People will understand it later. People will be looking back at what Michael did later and being like, wow, well, we have people like Alan and we have people like Max to break it down and help us understand. I don't even know why I'm not following Max anymore. Sometimes his language gets to me, but I'm a big fan. I sort of wish there was a Black Diamond version of Conquering the Markets that didn't require Jordan to revisit his prior statements or explain what he meant all the time. Most CTM fans are solid, but small minority, not the silent majority, the loud negative ones. But the small minority need to learn to think, the small minority who are the loud ones, need to learn to think for themselves and take responsibility. I wish so too. I wish so too, and I strongly say that. And for these reasons at all, let's talk about time preference, investing, and trading. From my perspective, the person who wrote this has been with the team for a long time. What you have done with your trading was incredible. It is elegant, but also very sophisticated. I'm just talking about what is over here. I'm not doing it for any other reason than that. When we're talking about what Michael Saylor is doing over there and how people will understand later that we do have people like Alan Au and Max Kaiser to break it down for us in real time, but it will be studied at university later, years from now for sure, right? It is very, this is what I've done with my trading. Through decades of hard work, triumphs, and failures, you developed a consistent, probabilistic trading plan. That was possible with a growth-oriented mindset, your pursuit of self-knowledge, considerable trading expertise, and experience let you stacking edge on top of edge. You selected a macro asset, Bitcoin, traded it at the base unit of account. This is where we talk about the sophistication. Why imploring your plan? You invested half your net worth into an asset that you shouldn't consult past behavior. This was a portion of your portfolio. Then with a portion of that 50%, you executed your trading plan. So there's a portfolio and a portion of the portfolio in a trading account. The power was incredible. Simultaneously investing and trading. You made the investment. Listen, I wish there was a black diamond version of CTM as well, where we could be getting into it aggressively and looking to deploy strategies that are just, I love the word elegant and use of it here is what it is, you know? But listen, we have to work within our limitations and just try to make sure that we're able to work together as a group, as a community, bringing the most people forward, right? All that information as it was being done was shared in real time. It's up to you whether you invest in your time and understanding. And again, let me revert back. As I said from the beginning, before the bull market began, and it was over here, it was in October, as the bull market was taking off over here. It was it was in October. I think it was October 14th when I put out the video. I said a long time coming, 3 ways to trade the Bitcoin bull market. And I told everyone that the best way for the majority to profit from this was simply to buy and hold the duration of the bull market, right? A lot of people have learned since that would have been the most profitable thing for them. A lot of people have learned since. A lot of close friends who became introduced into Bitcoin and got positioned well, they got really sidetracked. You ever see that meme, that meme of the girl walking with the guy, and then all of a sudden he turns his head, he's looking at the other one, and it was altcoins. And the allure got to them. They wound up losing more money at certain points, gaining more money, but ultimately losing more money than have they just bought and held Bitcoin up until this moment today. At this particular moment, what's the best strategy going forward? Is Bitcoin cheap right over? Is 55,000 Bitcoin cheap? Where do you think that we end up over here just, 4 or 5 months from now? Where do you think that we will be? That's up for you to determine and decide. Do not make an investment unless you understand the risk that you're taking. Do not make an investment unless that you are taking responsibility for the gain and for the loss that's possibly involved. Do not make an investment without thinking it through. Do not make an investment without thinking it through. My stop loss is 0. I know how much that would hurt. I have thought it through. Why would your stop loss be 0 then, Jordan? Things could happen. The internet could go off tomorrow, right? These megalomaniacs who did the stimulation, right? Johns Hopkins University, the Gates Foundation, ahead with the World Economic Forum, right? That master class, that master villain, right? They did a simulation months before the pandemic hit. By the way, can you imagine the stuff that we did here late January, February into March on this channel together? There was no one else out there who saw it coming and positioned so well as Conquering the Markets. It's all on video. I don't have an accent. So when I talk to people, they're not like, oh, I don't have an accent. Either which way, bringing it back is right now, what's the best position for you? What are you doing? Are you buying Bitcoin? Are you accumulating Bitcoin? What is your time preference? You're going to see the video this afternoon. Absolutely phenomenal fire stuff. Time preference, not 1 year. Time preference, not 4 years. 10-year time preference. Time moves fast. Either way, it's coming. There's a famous line in Ferris Bueller for anyone old enough from Gen X to remember, right? Life comes at you fast. And that's what happens either way. We're going to wake up tomorrow, whether you choose to make a decision today that's going to benefit you tomorrow, or you're still taking one marshmallow today, that's up to you. Either way, it's going to be here. Either way, it's going to be here. All right, listen, I think we have a few more things to talk about. I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to keep going over here. Let's bring it back into what we could talk about. This is important stuff from Raul. I want to talk about it. So first of all, I want to give Raul all the credit in the world when it came to Bitcoin, because throughout this bull market, Raul has said that we could go down to 50% at any time. 100% he said that, right? The Bitcoin correction question, right? I've said the way through, expect a 50% correction in the middle of this. Well, he said expect a 50% correction. He never said in the middle, but we had a 50%. Could it go to 60? Is it finished here? Who knows? He's right, but it's going to take a while to digest. It's not going to rally and go into a V shape. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know about that. You know, in a few months, my guess, and by the way, we want to do Black Diamond CTM, right? You know, forced to have to pivot and just let everyone know when the water's safe, right? If, you know, I don't know how things are playing out myself, but wow, do you guys see what's going on in Latin America? Wow, we're seeing politicians all over the place. Argentina, Brazil, Mexico. Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico, those are not like El Salvador, Costa Rica. Those are the three giants of Mexico. Wow. We could see things that were unplanned, unforeseen, taking shape and unfolding very quickly. Once the dominoes start falling, they really start to fall faster and faster. There you go. Right? Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and stack sats every once in a while, you can miss it. Boom. So what are we looking at over here? Is it possible that the Fed's meeting that we have actually an upside surprise? Is it possible that Powell decides, you know what? I understand what's going on over here, and we're going to continue to running them hot. Luke Groman, if anyone's not following Luke on Twitter, when we saw Brent, the milkshake theory guy, getting all that hype, Luke was the person who was giving the other side to that narrative. They would have some really good discussions. It turns out that one was wrong and one was right, right? Luke has been talking about why the Fed needs inflation. It's absolute. So what is the Fed leaning towards, right? The Fed knows that they have these deflationary pressures at their back. Those deflationary pressures are what? The deflationary pressures are technology. The deflationary pressures are demographics. The aging baby boomers. Boomy babies, I was going to say. Boomy babies. I prefer that over baby boomers. And then, you know, but listen, the law of diminishing returns is real. And they need more and more money each and every time to have an effect. That's why, like, back in the 2008 crisis, it was a $700 billion bailout. Now we're talking $4.1 trillion. These numbers keep going up because they're less and less effective. Could they let this go? And could tomorrow's reaction see Bitcoin fly towards that resistance? Absolutely. There's no question about it. I don't know whether it's going to be V or not. I don't know whether we're going to continue going sideways. All as I know is that once we break that line over there, the most important trend line in crypto, we have our momentum at our backs again. And then if we do break this line, it should be rather quickly until we're trading back towards new all-time highs. We'll watch it play out. As we get closer, we'll get into it. There's no reason to be aggressive here right now, tomorrow, ahead of the FOMC, and we're getting close to resistance now. We're getting closer to resistance right now. All right, that's the next big level to focus in on the upside. This is the level that we need to focus in on the downside. And this is where we are right now. And we're in no man's land, dead center right now. All right. Oh, it could either go up or it could go down. Welcome. You're new here. I'm so glad that you're new. It is good that you are here. All right. So what else? A couple of other things we wanted to look at, right? Look, what he's saying is that what we're seeing for the rest of the year, my guess in all the work that I've ever done on this, and I think it's significant. I think the work that Raul has put into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is significant because I think he understands very clearly that this is the only future. He's been very clear about that himself, that we should be seeing higher prices for the rest of the year. Yeah, I mean, CTM all day long. Raul, welcome to the club. No, he gets it. Right? Around this phase, listen to this. Where have you heard this before? Buy the dip if you could, if you're able to. And this is where he comes in strong. And he's been consistent about this message all the time as well. It's important stuff. Again, don't use leverage. Be cautious. Understand what risks you're taking. But I think it's a great opportunity. And Raul has been consistent about this one as well. He's always said don't use leverage, that you don't need it. Right? I'm a lightly leveraged type guy. I'm a black diamond type of guy. Raul, don't use leverage. Expect a 50% correction. You got to give credit where credit's due. This gets really interesting. We're going to talk about Ethereum and share his perspective over here as well. It's really important stuff that I think everyone should really, well, that's, who said, was it the Bitcoiners or was it Latin America? Was it the chicken or the egg? All right, Raul, this is important to listen to, listen, regarding bonds, I tried to be delicate. You get it wrong, you get it wrong. When you get it right, and when you're adding so much value to the conversation as he's about to, we got to look at this very closely. All right. Raul Pal on Ethereum, right? I think people allocated more to Ethereum because they've been going up, right? Ethereum outperforms. We knew it ahead of time. Both spaces were missing a positive news stories. Bitcoin gets the news story, right? Volcanoes, right? Really like perfect meme, volcanoes. People reallocate money from Ethereum into Bitcoin, pretty normal stuff. The Ethereum Bitcoin cross went quite far very quickly. Did you see the work that we did as that was unfolding? I'm not trying to say I got it right because I don't know what was going on, but it was right over here when Raul put out that famous, alert that he's flipping his Bitcoin position to Ethereum. And you remember that I started saying, well, how much further could we go up? I would love to go back and watch that video. And I put it max 100% off that level. Wow, we came pretty close. Anyway, I thought it was very late. We talked about very early when it was time. And then we pointed out I didn't take the trade after the breakout when we came back down into that level, right? Either which way, alt season, we're familiar with the patterns. Right over here. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about the awesome stuff Raul's introducing. Right? So let's keep going. I think a correction where Bitcoin outperforms for a few months, 2 months, 3 months, I think that would be healthy and normal. We've been really over the last few weeks talking about that, what we expect to happen, what we're watching for. Just what we're watching for, specifically about 45 days from now, that next period, to see whether or not Bitcoin really outperforms, right? Ian, Team Randall, has been really instrumental in helping us understand the correlation between Ethereum and Bitcoin, lining it up with each other, lining it up as a cross, lining it up from the past alt season. We know exactly, as everything continues to play out almost right on time, it's certainly rhyming, when we should see Ethereum really outperforming versus Ethereum and alts, right? Raul is saying that he expects that same thing to happen now. I think we start coming in, listen to this, when we start coming into the new Ethereum 1559 token, Ethereum 2.0, that changes, that's probably a pretty good story for Ethereum. What he's saying, that people will start buying the news on that. I think Ethereum trends up. We had, and then listen, he goes on to say this, right? Let me just pause for 1 second over here. Ethereum outperforms as we start moving into early next year into the proof of stake, right? Buying the news, people always looking, buy the news. No, you don't buy the news, Jordan. Buy the rumor, sell the news. I'll probably be a buyer, buy the rumor, sell the facts. You get there and then everybody's all in the price. I think it's Bitcoin first, then Ethereum, right? Bitcoin right now, he's saying, and that could be over the next 2 to 3 months. We have that planned out better than anyone. Then Ethereum. And then when Ethereum goes, all other tokens go up as well. What Raul is saying over here is the possibility that we all need to consult, right? Is that let's pretend Bitcoin peaks at its cycle peak. But at that point, it's possible that Ethereum keeps bid because of the coming news about Ethereum 2.0. And then what he's saying, as Ethereum makes the jump and it's a sell the fact type event, that all of that, let's say, money, liquidity, could go into other protocols and into other alts. And what we could see potentially, something I'm not looking for, so I want to be aware of, is that it's this particular bull market peak where Ethereum breaks. The Bitcoin is the rising tide that lifts all ships. Heath, the rising tide that lifts all boats, right? And we see Ethereum break Bitcoin's 4-year cycle and go on to start its own cycle, right? Listen, I don't know that that's going to happen, but we certainly want to be aware of it, all right? We certainly want to be aware. It's a good proposal for us to watch, all right? So there we go. What else? Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about? Right? So that would be we have to pay attention. It would be a big change for Ethereum to break away from Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. No question about that. And then over here, we're going to end this today. And by the way, the reason we're not so focused in on the charts right now, the reason we're not so is because of tomorrow's FOMC meeting, right? We have the awareness that we need. So this is a different type of session. I'm going to make sure that always, at least once a week, that we have a super strong TA session, especially all across FX. I'm going to make sure we do that at least once a week. Today's not the day. Today's not the day. Ted, look at the model over here. Price working its way back towards the mean over here. Price working its way back towards the mean. Ted proposing that perhaps what we're going to start using over here is a 2 standard deviation on the 20-day period. You can see right now this would show us or give us some play over here. This is up to Ted, and Ian, and them collectively working together. This is out of my realm, whether or not he decides that he's going to introduce this or not, right? But he's going to wait and give it some time. You can see over there that it actually would be nice towards the cycle peak. It gives you, or it'll be nice to go back and consult it afterwards as well. Obviously, we all think or that we should end up with our mean price, but you can know it gives you a much broader range, 150,000 and as high as almost 1.1 million. It's interesting stuff, and you can see where price consolidates. Also, that deviation consolidates and converges upon it as well. This is really important in this area over here as we get towards middle of July, seeing where we are. As even using the deviation, we should be back in this range, right back above $55,000. So we'll be watching. So I want to thank all of you. I genuinely want to thank each and every one of you for making this such a beautiful place. Dave, there will be a training session this week. There will be a training session this week. I'm also going to get out Heath's video to the public, last week's training session, because I just want more people following the work that he's putting out over there. He doesn't put out sensational thumbnails and titles, right? He's out there putting out valuable content to everyone. We're gonna figure out what the training session is going to be. I'm going to spend time today, tomorrow thinking about it. We'll probably be doing it on Friday or on Thursday. I'll let you know, but we will have one for sure. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to do great things. I'm going to keep eating my shard and make sure I stay healthy here and that we get on it. I'm going to play some honeymoon vocals here just so I have the opportunity to read some comments and see if there's anything else for us to finish up with over here today. right, a couple of things over here. Really, thank you very much. Thank you very much. A couple of things over there. So are we gonna? I'm not gonna be live streaming the FOMC. We're not gonna do that, Eli. I did one back in, let's say, I think it was June 2020. I have on the channel one FOMC being live streamed, teaching people what's taking place, how to trade it. It's absolutely gold stuff out there. If you want to look for that, search for that. Listen, this is an important one over here. So glad this live stream isn't biased and making sure that we understand this. The live stream's biased. First of all, my opinion, my work is very biased, right? Why? But I have a history of being on the right side, across asset classes, on the right side. And, you know, I'm out there always looking and consulting other people's work. You saw me do that with Raul today, right? Always pointing out something that we got to be aware of. At the same time, I'm also aware of, you know, he got the Bitcoin trade really well, the Ethereum trade really well, really missed, you know, the bond trade, right? Go back to watch him on Anthony Popolano's podcast where he talks about initiating the bond trade. And then, you know, and then I'm seeing the work lately and he's like, oh yeah, you know, it's quite obvious that after coming out of recession, yields rise. Then, I mean, but you took, anyway, there's a reason there's a bias here coming from myself. There's a reason I'm so confident in my work. And then there's a reason there's a bias from those that follow the work, right? People that have been here for 3 months, people that have been here for 7 months, people that have been here for a year and a half. There's a reason why they've put in the work and they understand, you know. You probably haven't, you know. So I could tell by your I could tell by your avatar that you're really lost and you're really searching. That's okay, you know. Keep with the sarcasm. Sarcasm means that you have a deep wound, and I'm sorry for that. But that's where the sarcasm comes. You've been really wounded. It's probably by your dad, and I'm sorry for that, my brother. I really am. But don't, because you've been wounded, don't lash out and wound others. All right? So why is everyone so hyped? We just put in a really solid session. You don't understand the clarity. That's the thing. A lot of people are wondering, you know, should I buy Bitcoin? Right? Tell me what to do. Where's the price going to be tomorrow? Right? That's what a lot of people are interested in. Right? That's not how it works. There are a lot of people that are so hyped because they saw the fire of this session over here. They get it because they continue to invest their time and they know what's up. That's why people are so hyped. If you're seeing other people hyped up and you don't understand why, maybe you should be like, wait, maybe I should start paying attention. That's a good place to be coming from. That's a really, really, really good place to be coming from, right? So what else are we looking at? You know, thanks for spending the time together, everyone. And, you know, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day. I can't believe what has taken place over the last 24 hours. Everything is moving so quickly and continues to move quickly, right? Michael is just a beast, right? Michael is a beast out there. All right, everyone. Have a really beautiful day. Thanks for spending the time with me. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Oh no, it's Taco Tuesday. I gotta drop the head snack. I gotta bring it on.
Analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing just to pretend they're in fashion. See the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room. Grab the bull by the horns and to the moon. Flow from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
It's a taco day. It's a taco day.
All right. So anyway, that's beautiful. Only since 2021 March. Listen, I wish it was 2020 March. All right. I wish genuinely that it was, January 2020. And then looking back how we were able to do this together leading up to the crisis and then throughout it, extraordinary stuff. But thank you for that. Listen, it's true. It's true. We say that, Jordan, I hear two things. I hear the slight Bronx and Mexican accent. Born in the Bronx, I've become Mexican. It's just what it is. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate that. Listen, everyone, thank you for sharing with me. This is what I was looking for, right? I think it's time to start blocking the trolls and defining the term turmoil. I just want to ban them instead of reading their messages at this point. I don't care if anyone thinks this is an echo bubble. I want to hear my own echo. I sincerely want to hear my echo, right? Because it's signal that I don't want to hear the noise. I don't mind people telling me you're in an echo bubble. That's fine. I want to hear my own echo for sure, right? But there's this thing inside me. There's this compassion inside me that just doesn't want to ban the trolls without giving them the opportunity. So I struggle with that. There's some friction there. I'm going to figure it out. And the way I'm going to figure it out is ultimately I'm going to do what's best for the community. So I'm working on it. That's for sure. I'm working on my messaging, right? Because I want it to be Black Diamond CTM. So I'm working on my messaging, right? Pausing, pulling back, and I'm going to come out hot when I'm ready. So we're working on all that, always working towards being better. It's that growth mindset. All of you got it. That's why it's so awesome being here, right? So for sure, forget criticism, discussion, right? I'm always for discussion. Actually, I love discussion. I love people who don't share my point of view. I love people who are able to have a conversation that's not emotional, but based on thought and facts. That's one of my favorite things to do in life, right? There's a difference between coming out there emotional and criticizing as opposed to discussion. That's true. All right, everyone, that's it. I got to go. I'll talk to you all later. Have a beautiful day.